Kalira lay on the cold, cracked surface of the battlefield, her breath shallow, her vision fading. Smoke curled into the sky above, and broken metal surrounded her like a graveyard. Her green blood dripped slowly from the deep cut in her side. Her armor, once strong, proud, was torn and blackened. The sounds of war were fading, not because the battle was over, but because she was dying. She tried to lift her arm. It didn't move. She coughed, and pain exploded in her chest. Her lungs burned. Her people, her squad, were gone. They had left her behind. Not even a goodbye. No rescue signal. Oh hope. Just silence. Kalira had fought bravely. She had led the charge against the humans, blades drawn, eyes filled with fire. But they were stronger than expected. Smarter. Their weapons cut deeper than she had known. Her team had panicked. When the order came to retreat, they didn't wait for her. She had fallen. She had bled. And now? She was alone. She looked up at the sky gray, full of a shand, whispered something in her native tongue. A goodbye. A final word. She didn't expect anyone to hear it. She closed her glowing eyes and waited for death. But then, a sound, footsteps, not the heavy boots of her kind, not the mechanical sound of drones. These were softer, measured, careful. She tried to open her eyes again, but everything was blurry. Her heart beat slower now. One beat, pause, another beat. A figure stepped closer. She saw only a shadow at first, then light armor, silver, a human. Tall, his face calm but focused. His weapon was strapped to his back. He wasn't here to finish her. He was just staring. She felt anger rise in her chest, but it faded quickly. She had no strength left. She waited for him to raise his gun, to end it. But instead, he knelt, still alive. His voice was low, soft, human. Hang on. He pressed something on his wrist. A red light blinked. Medical scanner. Kalira blinked weakly. Why? Why was he helping her? He looked at the wound on her side. You're lucky, he muttered. If you call this lucky. His fingers moved fast. He opened a small med pack and sprayed something cold over her injury. Her skin hissed. She gasped, flinching, but didn't resist. You're not going to die today, he said. She wanted to ask him why. Why not leave her? Why not kill her like the others would? But she could barely speak. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. The human lifted her gently. She was light in his arms, like a broken bird. Her head rested against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat, steady, strong. His armor was cold, but somehow she didn't feel fear. Every step he took shook her weak body, but he didn't let her go. Through smoke, fire, and rubble, he walked. Past fallen warriors, both human and alien. He avoided search drones. He knew this area. He had been here before. She faded in and out of consciousness. Once, she opened her eyes and saw stars above. Once, she heard him say, just a bit further. Once, she felt warmth real. Warmth Lind knew they had entered a ship. She was laid down gently. A blanket covered her. Lights hummed overhead. Clean air filled her lungs. She was safe. Her heart, once cold and bitter, now beat with confusion. Why would a human, her enemy, risk his life for her? And for the first time, Kalira, the warrior, didn't feel like a weapon. She felt human. She closed her eyes again. But this time, not to die. This time, to rest. James Carter had broken the rules before, but never like this, as the human soldier stood in the quiet of his private medbay. He stared at the green-skinned alien lying unconscious on his cot. Soft hum of the ship surrounded him, but his mind was loud, filled with doubts, danger, and something new. Curiosity. He shouldn't have saved her. She was the enemy. An elite warrior from a species that had burned human colonies to ash. Her kind never showed mercy. And yet, there she was breathing because of him. Because he had made a different choice when everyone else would have walked away. He ran a hand over his face. The guilt wasn't about saving her, was about what came next. What have I done? He whispered. 10 flashback memories burned through his mind. Her broken body on the battlefield. The blood. The way she had looked at him, not with rage, but with silent confusion, like she didn't understand why he would stop to help. He hadn't understood it either. He remembered kneeling beside her, the scanner beeping red. He could have ended her. Quick, easy. Protocol demanded it, but he didn't. Why? Because in that moment, she wasn't a soldier. She wasn't the enemy. She was a dying girl, left behind by her own people, just like he once had been. James shook the thought away. Just a prisoner now, he told himself. That's all. But she wasn't in the brig. She wasn't restrained. She was resting in his own quarters. That wasn't standard. That was personal. The door opened with a soft hiss, and Carter's AI assistant spoke. Medical logs updated. Patient's vitals stabilizing. Would you like to report her status? To command. He didn't answer, because reporting her meant giving her up. It meant turning her over to people who wouldn't ask questions. People who wouldn't care that she blinked like she had a soul. People who would dissect her before asking why a warrior didn't fight back. He looked at her again. The med gel on her wound was holding. Her breathing was calm now. Her face, sharp and alien, was peaceful. She didn't even know where she was. Carter sighed. No report, he said finally. Flag it as a ghost entry. No record. The AI beeped once, acknowledging the command. He sat beside her. He didn't touch her. He just watched. For a long time, you probably hate me, he said softly. Or maybe you think I'm weak. He leaned back in the chair. Thing is, I've watched too many people die. I've done enough killing for 100 lifetimes. Maybe I just didn't want one more death on my hands today. Outside, stars drifted by like silent watchers. The war continued elsewhere. But here, in this small ship, 2 enemies breathed the same air. One awake with guilt. One asleep with questions. Carter didn't know what tomorrow would bring. He didn't know if she would attack him when she woke up. He didn't know if command would find out and brand him a traitor. But right now, he had made his choice. He wouldn't leave someone behind. Not again. The first thing Kalira noticed was not Pennet, was softness. Her fingers curled around fabric, not metal. Her skin wasn't frozen anymore. Something warm hummed near her head. A low sound. Steady. Peaceful. She opened her eyes slowly. White. Ceiling. Gentle lights. No screaming. No explosions. No fire. She was alive. But this wasn't her ship. Kalira sat up fast and regret hit her like a hammer. Her side burned and her head spun. She gritted her teeth and looked around, alert. Now, every instinct screamed danger. Her kind didn't wake up in comfort, not after battle. Not after being left to die. So where was she? The walls were smooth and pale gray. The ceiling curved like a human ship design. Clean panels, strange symbols. And that smells terrible, like a clinic. Then she saw it. A small metal box beside her bed. Inside were medical tools, and human writing. Her heart thumped hard. A human had brought her here. She yanked the blanket off and tried to stand. Her legs trembled. She looked down and saw she wore a soft fabriplane, not armor. Her weapons were gone. Her claws clenched. Trapped. She staggered toward the door. No guards, no chains. Why? Then the door hissed open. He walked in. The human Da tall, calm, dressed in simple clothes now. His eyes met hers with quiet surprise, not fear. "You're awake," he said. She backed up, hands raised in defense. "Where am I?" she growled, voice hoarse. He didn't move toward her. "Safe," he said simply. "You're on my ship. I found you after the battle. You were dying. Why didn't you kill me?" Her voice cracked with fury and confusion. He looked at her, then down. "Didn't want to." She blinked. "Didn't want to." Humans were killers. They shot first. They didn't save dying alien warriors from enemy lines. "You expect me to believe that?" She spat. "That you just felt kind?" "No," he said. "I expect you to do what I do, stay ready to attack." She hesitated. His words were honest. Too honest. No mockery. No tricks. Her eyes flicked to the tray near the bed. Water. A piece of fruit. Medical gel. He had treated her wounds. Fed her. No soldier would do this for an enemy. "Am I your prisoner?" she asked quietly. He shook his head. "Not unless you try to kill me." Her breath caught. She didn't know what this was. "You should have let me die," she said coldly. "I don't owe you anything." He nodded. "You don't." Then he turned, as if to leave. "Food's there. Room's locked from your side, not mine. Rest or don't. Your choice." The door closed behind him. Kellara stood frozen. What kind of human acted like that? Her kind had told her humans were savage, greedy, monsters of war. But this one had given her a bed, medicine, and a choice. She sank back onto the bed, confused and weak. Her side still throbbed. But it wasn't the pain that bothered her. It was the question echoing in her mind. What kind of enemy saves you and walks away? Kellara didn't sleep that night, not because of pain, but because of questions. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the closed door. Every sound from the ship made her flinch. She replayed every moment since waking. Nothing made sense. Humans didn't act like this. They didn't save enemies. They didn't share food or offer choices. Was this some twisted trick? A psychological game before torture? When the door finally opened again, she was ready. In one motion, she grabbed the metal tray and held it like a blade. Her muscles screamed, but she ignored them. She stood, wild and tense, eyes locked on the man who stepped in. James Carter stopped. In the doorway, his hands were empty, his eyes calm. He didn't move closer. "I won't hurt you," he said softly. Kellara didn't drop the tray. "I've heard that before," she snarled. "Right before someone pulls a trigger." Carter took a slow breath. "You want to fight me? Go ahead. But I saved your life, not to earn trust. Just because I didn't want to be like them." Her grip tightened. "Like who?" "My commanders. My enemies. Yours. The ones who see everything as numbers. Bodies, enemies. Targets." He took one step forward. "I've watched too many people die. I'm done with death." Kellara's arms shook. Not from weakness, but from something else. Confusion. She was trained to read faces, to hear lies. This human wasn't lying. Still, she needed to be sure. She threw the tray. It clattered harmlessly at his feet. He didn't even flinch. "You don't scare easy," she growled. "No," he said. "And neither do you." Silence. She looked away first. Sat down, her body trembling, more from rage than fatigue. Carter bent, picked up the tray. It set it on the side table. "I brought something," he said. She looked up sharply. This time, it was a book. He placed it down. "You need rest. Your body is healing fast. Your mind needs time too." Kellara stared at the book. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't propaganda. Just a story. Human language, but with a translation overlay. "What is this?" she asked. "A book I read when I didn't trust anyone," he said. "Maybe it helps, maybe not." Then he turned again, walked to the door. Before he left, he said, "The room isn't locked. You're free to explore, but the bridge is off limits." Trust goes both ways. The door slid shut behind him. Kelleher sat still for a long time. She had expected chains. She had prepared for pain. She had trained for torture. But this calm, quiet kindness. It scared her more than any blade ever had, and she hated that part of her didn't want to run. Kelleher didn't touch the book for 3 days, not because she couldn't read it, but because she was afraid of what might happen if she did. Books were windows. They let things in. Thoughts, feelings, doubt, and Kelleher had been taught to keep. Her mind sealed shut. But the quiet in this room was louder than war, and the silence of the human soldier's kindness was breaking her armor faster than any weapon ever had. On the 4th day, she opened the first page. It was a story about 2 enemies stranded on a frozen planet. Neither spoke the same language, but they shared food, shelter, fire, and in time, trust. She read until her chest ached. She wasn't sure if it was the pain from her healing wound or something deeper. Later, when Carter entered the room, she didn't throw anything. Instead, she looked up and asked, "You wrote that book?" He chuckled, a short, soft sound. "No, but I lived parts of it." She tilted her head. "So, this has happened before. More than people admit," he said. "Not all wars are won by guns. Some are lost by hearts." Kelleher blinked. "That's a strange way to fight." He smiled, but it faded fast. "I didn't rescue you to change you, Akana. I just wanted to do one thing different before this war ends." "Me too." Akate's sentence stuck to her bones. "Before this war ends, me too." She suddenly felt something new. Guilt. "You risked your life for me," she said. He nodded. "Yes." "Why?" James sat across from her. "Not too close, not too far. Because I saw myself in you." She looked down at her alien hands. "You're nothing like me." "You'd be surprised," he said. "We both lost our units. We both got left behind. We both thought dying would be easier than trusting someone again." Kelleher couldn't speak, so he stood. "You don't have to thank me," he said, "but if you ever feel like walking around the ship, I won't stop you." As he walked out, the door stayed open. That night, she left the room not to escape, but to see. She walked the narrow hallway barefoot, her toes brushing the smooth steel floor. She saw pictures on the walls, a dog, a small child. Earth's moon. His life. In the galley, she found a warm drink waiting, with a note for the one who survived. JC, she held the cup tightly. Enemies didn't do this, and maybe they weren't enemies anymore. The warning came not through alarms, but through silence. James Carter stood frozen in front of the comm panel. A red light blinked once, then again, then turned solid. He didn't answer the incoming transmission. He already knew who it was. High Command. They had tracked his location. Kelleher was still asleep in the next room. Curled beneath a soft blanket she now accepted without question. Her breathing was calm. She trusted him now, and that was the problem. Because the galaxy didn't allow trust between enemies. James stared at the blinking message. The text was short. Cold, unregistered alien detected on private vessel. Turn over the subject immediately. Known compliance equals treason. He didn't even blink. He powered down the screen. They were coming. He walked to the medbay and opened the door without knocking. Kelleher stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, and for a moment, there was peace. Then she saw his face, and everything changed. "What happened?" she asked, sitting up fast. James didn't lie. "They know you're here. They gave me a choice." Kalera's body stiffened. "Kill me or hand me over." He nodded. She exhaled slowly. "So, what's your choice?" "I made it the day I saved you," he said. "But now we have to run." Her throat tightened. "You would give up your own life for me." "I'm not giving up my life," he said. "I'm choosing what kind of life I want to live." 4. The first time, Kalera had no words, only action. She stood. She walked to him without hesitation. "Then we escaped together," she said. "Not as alien and human, as people." He gave a soft smile. "I hoped you'd say that." They rushed to the ship's controls. James tapped in override codes, shutting down all trackers. Kalera took the co-pilot's seat. Her fingers hovered over the unfamiliar controls. "Do you know how to fly this thing?" he asked. She smirked. "I've flown worse." The engines roared to life. The ship tilted hard, veering off normal course. The stars outside became blurs of light. Space warped around them. A voice crackled over the speaker. "Lieutenant Carter, you are violating fleet orders. Return immediately." James ignored it. Kalera looked at him. "They'll hunt you." "They already were," he replied. "Now they'll just have a reason." She sat back, amazed. "You are insane." "Maybe," he said, "but I'm not wrong." The ship broke into hyperspace. Behind them, the war raged on. But ahead was something else. Unknown, dangerous. Free Kalera watched the stars stretch for the first time. In her life, she wasn't running alone. She wasn't surviving alone. They had no map, no plan, only one unshakable truth. They had chosen each other. She didn't remember falling asleep, but when Kalera woke, something was different. No alarms, no pain, no tension in her chest, just quiet and warmth. She was lying in a small cabin, far from any war zone, wrapped in soft blankets with the soft hum of a ship gliding through deep space. Dim golden light filtered in from the window beside her. Outside, endless stars stretched across the black. For once, she didn't reach for a weapon. Her first thought wasn't fear. It was peace. She sat up slowly. Her wounds had healed. Her heart, not entirely. But something inside her was lighter. Now James was already awake, sitting nearby with his boots off, legs crossed, sipping a cup of something warm. "You slept through a whole cycle," he said, with a tired smile. Kalera blinked. "You didn't wake me. You needed it." She looked around. "Where are we?" "Nowhere that matters," he replied. "No colonies. No battles. Just stars and quiet. Off every known map." Kalera took a moment to absorb that. No trackers, no orders, no labels like enemy or soldier. Just two people. She studied him in silence. "You've lost everything because of me," he shrugged. "Maybe I needed to lose it. To find this." "This?" she asked softly. "A new beginning," he said. "For both of us." Kalera didn't smile often. Her people saw it as weakness. But something broke through that rule now. She gave him the smallest smile she had ever shown anyone. "You're not what I expected," she said. "Neither are you." They sat in silence again. But this time, it wasn't heavy. It was full of understanding. Kalera glanced at the window. "What will we do now?" "Live," James said. "Whatever that means." She leaned back and watched the stars. For the first time since the war began, Kalera didn't feel like a weapon, didn't feel like a number, didn't feel like something broken and abandoned. She felt something new, human, not in body, but in the heart. And when she closed her eyes this time, wasn't to die, it was to dream.